Saturday morning. Your eyes open. And before anything else, you notice the sound of nothing. Not the peaceful nothing. The other kind. The kind that follows you from the bedroom to the kitchen, that sits across from you while the coffee brews, that watches you look out the window at a street where no one is coming to your door. You reach for your phone. No message waiting. You glance at the calendar. Empty squares, one after another. And you settle into the chair you have folded yourself into on so many mornings that the cushion remembers the shape of you better than most people do. Maybe today is one of those days for you. Or maybe most days feel like this. And maybe you have never once said it aloud, because who wants to be the person who admits they feel forgotten? Who wants to be pitied? So let me be the one to say it clearly, so you know I am not going to pretend around you. What you are carrying is one of the heaviest things a human heart can hold. Not a passing sadness, not a bad mood that lifts by lunch. This is loneliness that has settled in like a season that will not turn. The strange ache of being alive in a room and still feeling half invisible. Here, but not quite held. Present, but not quite remembered. And I need you to hear this too. You did nothing wrong to arrive here. You are not being punished. You have not failed at your own life. You are simply a person walking through the later chapters of your story, and you have met one of the oldest, hardest teachers a person can meet. My name is Mahindasiri Thero. I am a Buddhist monk. And the question I have carried for most of my life is a simple one. How does a human being find peace when the world around them slowly goes quiet? How do we stay truly alive when the noise of company fades? Today, I want to hand you 5 things. Not ideas to admire. Not philosophy that needs a scholar to unlock it. 5 things you can begin this very afternoon, right from that chair, at your sink, in your garden. Practices that have been softening human suffering for 2,500 years. So stay with me a little while. Before I place a single practice in your hands, I want to honor honestly what you are up against. Because someone has probably told you already, just get out more, phone a friend, sign up for something. And they meant it kindly, I am sure. But that kind of advice can land like a quiet accusation, as though your loneliness were only laziness wearing a costume, as though you simply had not tried hard enough. The truth runs deeper than that. When you stopped working, you did not only lose a paycheck. You lost the frame that held your whole day together, the name that told you who you were, the crowd of faces that saw you week after week. All of it gone almost at once. And then the years do their slow work. Friends move to be near their children. Some friends die. The world keeps spinning, but your corner of it keeps shrinking. Your own children love you dearly, yet they are drowning in their own lives, their own bills, their own children to raise. The distance between you is real, even when no map could measure it. Your body writes its own limits too. The drive that used to be easy now takes something out of you. The stairs argue back. The circle you can comfortably move through pulls tighter around you. And I will say this gently but plainly. The culture around you was not built to cherish its elders. It bows to speed, to youth, to usefulness measured in output. In a world like that, growing old can feel like slowly turning transparent. Not long ago, the highest health official in this country released a formal warning. Not about a disease, not about a drug, about loneliness itself. He wrote that living inside chronic loneliness can damage the body the way smoking a pack of cigarettes each day does. Heart trouble, failing memory, depression, years quietly stolen from a life. I do not tell you this to scare you. I tell you so that you will finally believe your own feelings. What sits in your chest is not weakness. It is not you feeling sorry for yourself. It is a genuine wound, and a genuine wound has every right to be treated. The Buddha had a name for suffering shaped like this. He called it dukkha. And dukkha is more than plain pain. It is that specific soreness of longing for things to be other than they are. Loneliness may be the purest dukkha of all, the space between the closeness you need and the closeness you have. But listen to what the Buddha did not say. He did not say, go collect more friends and the ache will vanish. He said something braver than that. He said, Change the way you stand in relation to the experience itself. That is the quiet work these 5 practices do. They will not crowd your home with company. They will change the home itself. And more than that, they will change the one who sits so quietly inside it. Let us begin. The first is called Mettā, loving kindness. And I have to clear up a misunderstanding before I teach it, because so many people get it backward. Mettā is not about being loved. It is about becoming the one who loves. When we are lonely, notice what we are truly doing. We are waiting for the phone to ring, waiting to cross someone's mind, waiting for warmth to be delivered to our door. And the waiting itself becomes the cage, because whether that phone ever rings was never ours to decide. Mettā turns the whole thing inside out. Rather than standing at the window hoping love will show up, you become the place love pours out from. Here is how it works, and you can do it right now, exactly where you sit. Let your eyes close if that feels all right. Draw one slow breath. Then, quietly, only inside your own mind, offer these words toward yourself. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be well. May I move through my days with ease. Say them slowly, like they matter, not because joy is filling you at this second, but because you are planting one small seed of kindness in your own direction. Then, when you feel ready, widen it. Picture a neighbor down the road. Perhaps you barely know their name. That is fine. Offer them the same words. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be well. May your days come easy. Then the person who brings your mail, the tired cashier who ran your groceries, the child pedaling a bicycle past your window. Keep letting the circle grow until it reaches the whole street, the whole town, all the countless people you will never lay eyes on. 5 minutes is enough. 20 is fine too. The clock matters far less than the sincerity behind the words. And why does this ease loneliness? Because loneliness, stripped to its bone, is the feeling of being cut off. I am over here, everyone else is over there, and the gulf is simply too wide. Mettā takes that gulf apart from the inside, one silent blessing at a time. Every time you send goodwill outward, seen or unseen, known or stranger, you are rehearsing connection. You are no longer waiting on the shore for a boat. You are already in the water, already swimming toward the whole living world. And here is something remarkable. When researchers study people practicing loving kindness, the brain lights up in the same places it does when someone is loved. The nervous system barely tells the difference between offering warmth and being warmed. I knew a woman, 74, out in Ohio. A widow rattling around a house that had once been loud with children and the smell of Sunday dinners. She came to this practice late and doubtful. I asked her only for 1 week of it, 5 minutes each morning. She told me afterward that around the 10th day, something odd happened in a grocery store. A young stranger dropped something, and she found herself laughing with him. And she realized, standing in that aisle, that she had not laughed with a stranger in years. No one had called her. No one had visited. But a door had opened inside her, and connection had quietly walked back in through it. That is the first practice. Now let us speak about the mind inside a quiet house, because if you have known real loneliness, you know the silence never stays silent for long. The mind rushes in to fill it. And what does it fill it with? Conversations replayed 100 times, old regrets, moments you wish you could walk back into and do differently, and the fears creep forward. Will anyone notice if something happens to me? Do my children ever really think of me? Is this simply how it is now? Just me, alone, all the way to the end? A mind left alone in isolation can become a cruel neighborhood to live in. The second practice answers exactly this. It is called Anapanasati, which means mindfulness of breathing. The Buddha thought it so important that he devoted a whole teaching to it, one of the most studied texts in all of Buddhism. And the practice could not be plainer. Bring your attention to your breath. Do not control it. Do not try to breathe in any clever way. Simply know that you are breathing. Breathing in, you know you are breathing in. Breathing out, you know you are breathing out. That is the entire thing. Try it now. Just 10 breaths. Count if it helps. 1 on the way in, 2 on the way out, up to 10, then start again. When your thoughts wander off, and they will, this is not you failing. This is only what a mind does. Come back gently. No scolding. Just thinking and back to the breath. You can do this in your chair, in bed before your feet touch the floor, in a doctor's waiting room. No equipment, no app. Only the breath that has kept faithful company with you since your very first moment alive. And why does this loosen loneliness's particular grip? Because loneliness does not actually live in the present. Think about it. Right now, as you breathe, what is truly happening? You are here. You are alive. Air is moving through you. The room is real, and so are you. Loneliness lives in the story instead. The story of what used to be. The story of what might never come again. It hides in the past and the future. But the breath can only ever happen now. Every time you return to this exact inhale, this exact exhale, you step out of the story and back into your one actual life. And in this breath, you are not alone. You are present. You are alive. And that is enough. I know some of you are thinking this sounds far too simple to touch something so real. I have heard that many times. So let me offer you this. Simple is not the same as easy. And simple is not the same as small. The Buddha built all of meditation on this one practice for every student at every level, not because it is a beginner's trick to grow out of, but because it is the shortest road to the single place where peace is always waiting, this moment. That is the second practice. The third is, I will admit, the hardest one I will give you today, and I want to be honest about that up front. It is called mudita, sometimes translated as sympathetic joy, the practice of feeling real gladness at someone else's good fortune. And if you are deeply lonely, you know its opposite far too well. You scroll past a photo of an old friend beaming on a cruise with her grandchildren, and something clenches in your chest. You see the family across the street laughing together on a Sunday porch, and you step back from your own window. You hear that the neighbor's kids came to stay a whole week, and a small, ashamed voice asks, "Why them and not me?" That is not a flaw in your character. That is a human heart in pain. When we are starving for something, it becomes unbearable to watch others eat. But here is the trap. That bitterness, that quiet resentment you would never say out loud, becomes a second wound laid over the first. Now you are lonely and bitter both. And bitterness is expensive. It drains you. It closes the heart tighter. It turns the mind into a house you do not want to live in. Mudita is the deliberate choice of the other door. When that photo appears, you pause and you say silently, "May your happiness stay with you. May it grow." Not because you feel it in that instant, not to perform a kindness you do not have, but because you are practicing it the way you practice a scale on the piano. Not because it is music yet, but because one day it will be. And here is the surprise. As you practice, the bitterness slowly loosens its hold. Not all at once, but over time. Because you have stopped fighting against another person's joy and begun, clumsily, imperfectly, to let it in. I will tell you honestly, I have worn these robes for decades and I still practice mudita. It is not a thing you finish and shelve. It stays a practice precisely because it runs against a deep current in us. And every single time you choose it, even once, even briefly, even with the sting still fresh, you have been free for that moment. That freedom is real, and it is yours. That is the third practice. Tell me if this rings true. You rise, you make breakfast, you watch a little television, you eat some lunch, perhaps you nap, then dinner, then bed. And at day's end, it feels as though nothing happened, as though you were never fully there, as though the day was a thing to survive rather than a thing to live. That is what long loneliness does to time. It scoops the meaning out of it. The fourth practice is called sati, mindfulness, this time carried into the plain business of an ordinary day. The Buddha called it clear knowing of what you are doing while you are doing it. Here is the practice. Pick one thing each day and give it your whole, unhurried presence. Making the morning coffee, washing the dishes, sitting on the porch, watching birds work a feeder, folding laundry, watering a plant, eating your lunch at the kitchen table. Whatever you choose, be entirely inside it. Feel the weight of the cup. Watch the steam lift. Smell the coffee. Hear your kitchen breathing around you. And when the mind drifts toward who has not called, who has forgotten you, and it will, come back. Back to the smell. Back to the warmth in your hands. Back to this. You are not killing time. You are moving into your own life. That difference is everything. Because one of loneliness's quiet cruelties is convincing us that our days only count when another person is in them. That being alone means being missing from our own story. The Buddha would call that a misunderstanding of what a life even is. This moment, you, alone, awake, present to what sits in front of you. This is a life, and it is fully lived. I knew a retired schoolteacher, mid-70s, up in New England. Sharp as anything, warm, and utterly alone after her husband passed. She said she had started to feel like a ghost drifting through her own house. I asked what she did in the mornings. She said, "I make coffee." I told her, "Good. This week, make it like it matters." A month later, she wrote to me. She said she made her coffee now like a ceremony. She ground the beans. She heated the water just so. She poured it slowly, sat by the window, and held the cup in both hands. And for those 10 minutes, she wrote, "I am not lonely. I am not a widow. I am not waiting for anyone. I am simply a woman making coffee. And it is enough. It is enough." Those 3 words run old and deep through this tradition. Sati teaches us to find the enough that is already here, hiding in the simplest corner of an ordinary day. That is the 4th practice. The 5th may surprise you the most. It is called dana, generosity, giving. And I can hear some of you already. Bhante, I am retired. I live on a fixed income. I have nothing to give. But dana was never mainly about money. The Buddha named 3 kinds of giving. The first is material. Yes, money and things. But even here you need almost nothing. A plate of cookies left out for the mail carrier. Old books dropped at the library. A bag of bird seed set on the porch of a neighbor who loves the birds. Tiny. Nearly free. And yet the Buddhist insight is this. The giving changes something not in the one who receives, but in you. The second kind is the giving of service. Your time, your presence, your attention. Offer the library an afternoon reading to children. Visit a care home, even in your own 70s, because someone in there is older, lonelier, and has not had a true conversation in weeks. And you already know someone like this. Stop and think. You do. Someone sitting in the very same silence as you. Call them, not to talk about yourself, only to ask, "How are you doing? I was thinking of you." The third kind the Buddha called the giving of wisdom, sharing what you have lived and learned. A letter to a grandchild about a lesson you paid dearly for. A recorded message telling your family a story from your life they have never heard. Teaching the young neighbor to bake the thing you bake so well. The knowledge inside you, earned across a whole lifetime, is not nothing. It has not expired. It is exactly what this world is short of. And here is the secret running underneath all of it. The Buddha taught that the giver always gains more than the one who receives. Not in some vague spiritual way. In a plain, immediate way. When you give, you step out of the story of, "I am forgotten, I am useless, I am waiting," and you step into a different story. "I am here, I have something, I am giving it." Every act of generosity is proof, lived and undeniable, that you are still stitched into this world. The loneliness that whispers nobody needs me cannot survive a single week of dana. It cannot survive one phone call, one afternoon given, one letter written. So here is what I ask of you, and I mean it as an invitation, not an order. This week, make the one call you have been waiting for someone else to make. Just one. Reach out. Ask how they are. Then listen. Stop waiting for the call to come to you. That is dana, and it will move something. That is the 5th practice. So, 5 of them. Mettā, generating love from within instead of waiting on it. Anapanasati, returning from the painful story to the quiet truth of this breath. Mudita, dissolving bitterness by learning to be glad for others. Sati, making ordinary moments worth living inside. Dana, breaking the illusion of separateness through the act of giving. Not one of them needs a temple. Not one needs a teacher facing you. Not one needs money, or a working car, or a body that moves without protest. They ask only for your attention and your willingness. They will not fill your house with visitors. I want to be honest about that. I am not promising that if you sit each morning, the children will call more or old friends will appear at your door. What I am promising, because I have watched it happen again and again in the people who took these practices to heart, is this: the house will not change, but the one sitting inside, it will. From a person waiting to be rescued into a person who is fully, quietly, stubbornly alive. The Buddha spent 6 years alone in the forest. No visitors. No family near. By any measure we use today, profoundly isolated. But he did not call it loneliness. He called it the path. I am not telling you that you are the Buddha. I am not telling you your loneliness is easy or that suffering is something to grin through. I am telling you that the silence which feels like a sentence right now can become, with practice, something else. A space. A stillness. A place where you finally hear yourself think, and where that thinking slowly turns into something you can bear, and then something you can trust, and then, in time, something that feels almost like coming home. Your quiet house is not a prison. With practice, it becomes your monastery. Let me speak to you directly now. If you are alone as you listen to this, maybe late, maybe with the television off and the whole house hushed around you, I want you to know something. I see you, and more than that, the part of you that found its way here, that chose to sit and listen, that is still reaching for a way to live with more peace and more grace. That part of you is not defeated. It is not forgotten. It is very much alive. You are not broken. You are not being punished. You are a person meeting one of life's hardest teachers, and you already carry, right now, everything you need to meet it. These 5 practices belong to you now. You did not have to earn them. You do not have to be Buddhist to hold them. You only have to begin. And if any of this reached you today, I ask one small thing. Pass it on. Send it to someone you know who is sitting in the same silence. That act of thinking of another person is already Mettā. It is already Dana. Let me close the way I always close. In Pali, the old language the Buddha may himself have spoken, there is a blessing I offer you now with my whole heart. Sabe sata sukhi hontu. May all beings be happy. And that means you.